Collecting and using student adjustment data. This self-directed module contains information on student adjustment, definitions, and information on the early warning system. It also contains scenarios and additional resources. Psychology refers to adjustment as the behavioral process of balancing conflicting needs, or needs that are challenged by obstacles in the environment. One of the examples is when humans or animals are stimulated by their physiological state to seek food, they eat, if possible, which reduces their hunger and helps adjust the hunger stimulus. Successful adjustment is crucial to having a high quality of life. Those who are unable to adjust well are more likely to have clinical anxiety or depression, as well as experience feelings of hopelessness, anhedonia, difficulty concentrating, sleeping problems, and may demonstrate reckless behavior. When we look at the evaluation of adjustment, we should consider it in two ways: adjustment as an achievement and adjustment as a process. Successful adjustment is also called being well adjusted, and it's necessary for mental health. Well adjusted is defined as a person who's reasonable and has good judgment. Their behavior is not difficult or strange. It's important to remember that adjustment's a continuum. It's not a simple dichotomy. People can fluctuate and be adept at adjusting in different circumstances. Some of the traits of a person who is well adjusted is the first of which is an understanding of personal strengths and weaknesses and a tendency to play up those strengths while limiting the appearance of weaknesses. You have personal respect and appreciation. You find them A person who's well adjusted finds himself to be inherently valuable. They have appropriate aspirations. Most basic needs are met, such as food, water, and shelter, and those needs are met consistently. Positive attitude and a tendency to find the goodness in other people, objects, and activities. A well-adjusted person has the flexibility to respond to and accommodate for changes in the environment, as well as an ability to handle adverse circumstances. Most well-adjusted people can take negative life events in stride and will be motivated to take action to remedy those problems. Well-adjusted people have a realistic perception of the world that allows for a healthy amount of distrust of others and encourages pragmatic thinking. There's a feeling of ease within surrounding environments. A well-adjusted person feels comfortable in different aspects of their community, such as home, school, work, and the neighborhood. Well-adjusted people have a balanced life philosophy that accounts for and acknowledges the impact that the world has on an individual, as well as the impact that an individual can have on the world. School adjustment is a process of adapting to the role of being a student, as well as the various aspects of the school environment. Failure to adjust can lead to mental health issues, school refusal, school dropout, and may require school counseling or other services. Schools need to support student adjustment to keep students on track for graduation, future employment, training, or post-secondary school programs. There are a number of ways that we measure school adjustment. The top three areas that we look at for students are attendance, behavior, and academic performance. As far as attendance, students are required to attend 180 days of school per year. Attendance is taken at every level and reported to the state at the end of the year. Student behavior is also tracked regarding suspension, expulsion, detention, etc., to make sure that kids are on track for graduation. Students' academic performance is another indicator of success or struggling in school. Passing grades, improvement on state test scores, improvement on individual schools' monitoring processes for academic achievement, all indicate students' successful adjustment to school as well as to academic instruction. Attendance, behavior, and academics are all indicators of how well students are handling school. As noted in the previous slide, these indicators are monitored on an individual basis, a grade level basis, and a school-wide basis, as well as a district-wide basis. Student feedback is solicited in grades 3 through 11, specifically grades 4, 6, 8, and 12. as well as grade 10 in Pennsylvania using the PA Youth Survey um, to determine factors that are impacting student success. This assessment is also referred to as the Pennsylvania School Climate Survey. Student support teams monitor school-wide grade and grade level data as well as individual data of students so they can note any areas which may indicate kids are having adjustment, such as lack of attendance, change in grade level, or a change in behavior or performance in school. The review of this data may result in a school counseling referral, a referral to school social work services, or sometimes a referral to an outside agency for support for the student for counseling services or support for their family. Pennsylvania school districts can choose to keep their school data in a system maintained by their school district or in a system maintained by the state referred to as the early warning system. This system is provided to school districts in Pennsylvania at no cost by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Additional information is located at the website on the slide. There are a number of things that classroom teachers can do to monitor student adjustment. The first of these is getting to know your students. The second is monitoring student attendance, changes in behavior, and academic data on your students. You may also want to give students time to self-evaluate their emotions, class meetings, and formal assessments, which may be confidential or shared, depending on the student. Teachers may want to reinforce strategies from your school district's social-emotional learning curriculum to help students monitor their own adjustment. Teach and practice mindfulness in your classroom, and utilize restorative practices in your classroom and in your school. In this scenario, we'll look at Joe's behavior. Joe started the school year off very well. He participated in soccer, was passing his academic classes, and had not been involved in any school discipline issues. Since the end of soccer season, his grades have dropped to only borderline passing in 3 out of 5 of the subjects for 8th grade. He has not been involved in any school discipline issues, but he has been absent an average of 2 days each week. Joe receives special education services as a student with other health impairment. So think about the following questions for a few moments and then we'll discuss further. In your school, where is data on Joe stored and how can you access it? What actions can you take to support Joe and help him get back on track? How would you work with his learning support teacher and other school staff to develop a plan for Joe? In your school, data on Joe is stored in the records management system that your school subscribes to. Some of these may be Performance Tracker, Sapphire is one, Skyward. There are another number of digital systems that school districts may use. School districts may also store their data in the early warning system, which is offered through the Department of Education at no cost to Pennsylvania school districts. As far as actions you can take to support Joe and help get him back on track, you can contact Joe's family. You can contact Joe's special education teacher and set up a phone conference with the family to see if anything is going on that you can better support Joe in school. You could get Joe some peer tutoring in addition to his learning supports services as a way to possibly connect him to school a little closer. You can ask if the family if there are any health issues. You can also check with the nurse. You can develop a behavior contract for Joe. You can set up school counseling to see what's going on. There are a number of things that you can do with his learning support teacher, which are similar to the actions that you can take. In this situation, since Joe is a student who receives special education services, it is important to work with his special education teacher to make sure that we coordinate services effectively for Joe and that we communicate that coordination and any minor revision to his family. Let's look at the scenario about Angela. Angela receives special education services as a student with emotional disturbance. She's assigned to your classroom for English, 2 periods each day. She is currently failing your class and has been sent to the office at least 5 times in the last month, as well as being absent 1 day each week. So consider the following questions. Where does your school house data or information about Angela? Who in your school would you talk to about your concerns? What are some actions that you can take to support this student? Your school probably houses information about Angela in a digital database. As noted in the other scenario, Sapphire, Skyward, Performance Tracker are a number of the digital databases that schools may subscribe to. There are, of course, many others as well. Additionally, school districts may subscribe to the Early Warning System database, which is provided to school districts at no cost through the Pennsylvania Department of Education. So, after you've reviewed the data or information about Angela, who in your school would you talk to about your concerns? You can talk to her special education teacher, you can talk to the school nurse, you can talk to the guidance counselor, school social worker, school psychologist to look at different supports that may be helpful to Angela. You may want to have a parent meeting with one or more of the additional supports that were mentioned, such as school psychologist, special education teacher. You may want to develop a behavior contract with Angela. You may want to refer Angela for some additional counseling. You may want to talk to the nurse and make sure that there's not some type of medical issue that you're unaware of. Quite often, sitting down and talking to students one-on-one will give you information that is beneficial to help supporting them in your class, particularly since Angela has the emotional disturbance and works with a special education teacher. It's really important to work effectively with that teacher and coordinate your communication with other professionals in the school district as well as the family. This slide provides a reference which was used in the development of this module. This slide provides a listing of the additional topics that will be provided within this series.